Thank you very much for this opportunity and taking time out of your busy schedule to speak to us at Reuters. The first question I have for you is, the Communist Party Vice President Xi Jinping is expected to become China's next leader. What's your message to him? And do you have any hopes he will handle the issue of Tibet differently?
What do you mean, message to him? I think not much relevant. When Wu Jintao became president, I expressed at least I expressed he knows at least some Tibetan word, like Trishitele. So I expressed some positive expression. Now Xi Jinping, perhaps, I think, if he pays some attention, then I would like to say that people from China, great nation, most populated nation, very important country on this global level in the world. So China have, the great potential to make significant constructive contribution on the global level. Now, for that reason, China, not only economic field, but politically also should not remain isolated. Right from the beginning, I expressing, China, they themselves want join in economic field world community. Now world community have the moral responsibility, bring China into mainstream of world democracy or openness. The Chinese Prime Minister also, many occasions expressed publicly. So I hope Xi Jinping, now a new leader, new blood, look, more open way, more realistic way, as Deng Xiaoping stated, seeking truth from fact. I think Deng Xiaoping, out of policy, along the policy seeking truth from fact, he follow capitalist road for economic reasons. Now political, or whole system, also I think now time come to seek truth from fact. That's I think.
So going forward then, what should China do to, in your opinion, to revive the talks on Tibet's future, given that the two Tibetan envoys earlier this month resigned from talks?
So that obviously, right from the beginning, in early 80, when Hu Yanpeng there, things are very hopeful. At that time, the Chinese government made 5-point proposal. That's about my return, about my future. So at once, we responded to the Chinese government. This is not the issue. Issue is 6 million Tibetan people's basic right. So now, in future, unless they start realistic approach about Tibetan problem inside Tibet, not much, to discuss. Once, they start the realistic policy. Now, after all, Tibetan problem is neither good for Tibetan nor to China.
In a nutshell, if you boil it down, what is the realistic policy that China should follow towards Tibet?
Simply, I mentioned, seeking truth from fact. The fact should be real fact, not official created fact, not that way.
But on paper, it seems you both have a common position. You both agree. You said yesterday, you repeated your assertion that you are not seeking independence.
That's right.
Out of the question.
That's right.
China insists that Tibet will not be independent. So how can you convince them then that all you are seeking is true autonomy and not full independence?
There's a difficulties. Usually I express, we both have mantra to recite. My mantra is, we are not seeking independence, we are not seeking independence. The Chinese mantra is Tibet, all is part of China, all is part of China. I think both mantra I think real effect is limited.
So you don't think there is a way there's nothing you can do to say or convince them that...
I think this is not question of sort of convincing. I think they felt that's easier just to suppress.
Right, okay. What's your view of China's insistence that it chooses the next Dalai Lama? Do you think people in Tibet will accept a Dalai Lama appointed by Beijing?
If I die tonight, then this question is very relevant. If I remain another few decades, then no relevant, no answer.
And
actually, at last year, I think September last year, I made a formal sort of statement after sort of thorough consultation with leaders of different religious traditions of Tibet. So you will get into that copy. That's all.
I will look into that. And you said that it's only a question of time that things change in China. In reference, I think you were speaking in reference to democracy, human rights, censorship. What makes you so confident that things will change on these issues in China? And when do you expect them to change?
That is difficult. When is it difficult to say? But overall, China, a very powerful nation, but still part of the world. So China, you have to go along the world trend. That's democracy, liberty, individual freedom, like that. So is China. Sooner or later, have to go that way. Cannot go backward.
What will force them? What will force them to go on this new world trend? What will push them?
Chinese people themselves.
Through
they really want, change.
How do you know this? Through what you see on the internet, through what you hear about protests?
I met a number of Chinese scholars, artists, intellectuals, and also retired officials and business. So all unanimously, want more change. And then, as far as Tibet issue is concerned, over the last, I think, almost now 3 years, we noticed about over 1,000 articles in Chinese language, wrote by Chinese, many of them within China. So, all articles very critical about Chinese government policy.
Now, that is a very sort of, for China,
so these are the sort of indication, among Chinese. Now, as a result of getting deeper awareness about reality, then logically, common sense use like that.
That kind of message would scare the current Chinese leadership. And you've said in the past that you received unconfirmed reports that people may have been trying to assassinate you, people trained by the Chinese. Have you received any other reports recently? And how serious?
Recently, no. No recently.
Do you take these reports seriously?
Oh, that, like, concerned office of Indian government. They sort of, they pay some sort of, attention about these reports. Oh.
And just finally, because I know we only have 10 minutes, on a spiritual level, in looking at the UK and Europe in general right now, and their debt crisis, after years of spending too much and not being able to pay, do you think greed is behind the debt crisis we have here? And what is your spiritual advice to people now suffering financial difficulty, unemployment, poverty?
Financial matter, I'm an ignorant person. I really, not familiar. But my sort of friend, some businessmen, they say one of the causes of this sort of global economic crisis is greed, and then also speculation. That means ignorance, not know the reality, then just create some speculation like that. Ignorance and too much greed also make contribution regarding this sort of problem. I think generally, I think people, I think materialistic sort of way of life, they are very much sort of concerned about money matter. That also, short term, they seems to see not looking long-term interest and more holistic way. That is the causes of this problem. This is my feeling.
And for the people suffering now with unemployment, poverty, for example, in Greece, in Spain, how can they perhaps deal with it spiritually? Because it's a very difficult situation.
I often see expressing these sort of problem, essentially our own creation, man-made problem. So logically, human beings also have the ability to overcome these sort of problems. This is the one. Then second, in spite of difficulties, we should not give up our hope. We must keep our hope and determination and have to work hard. This is my sort of usual message in Japan or India or anywhere. I always say that. This Tibetan saying, 9 times failure, 9 times effort, like that. So that, I think, people who really now facing some desperate situation, I think must keep self-confidence and more optimistic attitude. That's better.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I express, he knows at least some Tibetan word, like Trishitele. So I express some sort of positive sort of expression. Now Xi Jinping, perhaps, I think, if he pays some attention, then I would like to say that China, people from China, great nation, most populated nation, very important country on this global level in the world. So China.
Thank you very much for this opportunity and taking time out of your busy schedule to speak to us at Reuters. The first question I have for you is, the Communist Party Vice President Xi Jinping is expected to become China's next leader. What's your message to him? And do you have any hopes he will handle the issue of Tibet differently?
Have you see the great potential to make significant constructive contribution on the global level. Now, for that reason, China, not only economic field, but politically also should not remain isolated. What do you mean, message to him? I think not much relevant. When Wu Jintao became president, I expressed some, at least